made me curious. I'd have to ask my Auntie Suze for the story. My phone dinged with an incoming text. It had to be Nick, since no one else texted me at such an early hour. He'd graduated the year before and was a nurse in the emergency department at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, Mercy, located in Uptown. We'd been dating for nearly 3 years. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. Looking forward to dinner. I smiled. He was taking me out tonight to celebrate my graduation, after we both got some sleep. Ditto, I texted back, sending a smiling emoji along with the word. A half hour later, I checked on Mr. Weber. He was sound asleep. Just as I started to do my charting for the night, a yell came from across the hall. Mrs. O'Sullivan was probably having a nightmare. I sat with her, speaking in a soothing voice until she drifted back to sleep. By then it was nearly 6, and the early risers were beginning to wake. I started a pot of coffee and then began getting the residents ready for the day. I always tried to get as many dressed as possible before the day shift and my supervisor, Rita, arrived. I'd do my charting before I left. At 7:15, the staff met for the shift change. Rita had a big mug of coffee in her hand and a bleary look in her eyes. I reported that the evening had been mostly calm, but Mrs. O'Sullivan had a nightmare and Mr. Weber had fallen. He didn't lose consciousness, I quickly added. You charted what happened? Rita asked. Not yet. I didn't have time. You said it was a calm night. It was, mostly. It got busy, though, and I started my charting later than usual. Rita pursed her lips. That's not like you, Leisel. My face grew warm, but there was no need to react. I hadn't done anything wrong. After the shift change, I headed to the nursing station to chart. Just as I finished documenting Mr. Weber's fall, I heard another aide call out Rita's name, and then say, He's not breathing. I stepped into the hall. Mr. Weber's door was wide open. I rushed into his room. The man was just as I last saw him, except his mouth was slightly open. I took his wrist in my hand. No pulse. I knew he had a do not resuscitate order in his file, and by the temperature of his skin, it was too late anyway. As Rita hurried back into the room, I raised my head. He's gone. She crossed her arms. Well, I certainly hope this wasn't caused by his fall. It wasn't, I said. He didn't lose consciousness or have a bump on his head or anything like that. More likely, he'd dreamt about hearing his wife's voice, because his time was near. I was sure he was ready to go, and was thankful he hadn't suffered. Rita made a throaty noise and then said, I'll call the undertaker and his daughter. You'd better get the fall charted. I already did. I turned toward her. I'd like to stay and see his daughter. I wanted to tell her about what he'd said. Rita shook her head. There's no need for that. Go on home. I'd rather stay. No, she said. Go home. We can talk more about all of this tomorrow. I graduate tomorrow, I said. I'm taking a few days off, remember? She wrinkled her nose. No, I don't remember. Are you going out of town? No. I didn't give her any details, but I was going to spend those few days looking for a new apartment. I'd already given notice on mine. Not wanting to clash with Rita anymore, I placed my hand on Mr. Weber's forehead and said a silent thank you for his life, and then a final goodbye. At least for now. He'd had a quiet faith that played out in the way he treated people and the way he spoke about God. Mr. Weber certainly wasn't the first resident who'd died on my watch, but he was the one I'd miss the most. By the time I turned to leave the room, Rita was gone.